Hello and welcome along to live training here on Real Madrid TV, coverage of Los Blancos' final training session before the Madrid derby on Saturday evening at the Estadio Wanda Metropolitano against Atlético. It is one of the big fixtures of European football, and Real Madrid heading into it as leaders of La Liga. It's been a good week for Real Madrid so far, after victory in Seville at the Estadio Ramón Sánchez Pizjuán last Sunday night by 1-0. Follow that up by a 2-0 victory against Osasuna at the Santiago Bernabéu. Goals scored on Wednesday evening by Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo. It's Karim Benzema who got the winner in Seville. So 2 victories, 2 clean sheets, 2 strong performances from Real Madrid. The word to describe perhaps both of them: professional. Real Madrid looking serious, focused, playing with intensity and taking their chances and not affording the opposition chances at the other end, restricting Seville and Osasuna to 0 shots on target. That was one of the most eye-catching statistics from both of the games. And if Real Madrid can do that on Saturday evening against Atlético Madrid at the Wanda Metropolitano, they've got a fantastic chance of winning the first Madrid derby of the season. But it is, as we know, one of the toughest games of the campaign for Real Madrid, although they do have a pretty strong record away to Atlético Madrid in recent seasons. You remember our most recent trip to the Wanda Metropolitano back in February, a 3-1 victory. Casemiro, Sergio Ramos and Gareth Bale scoring the 3 goals on that occasion. An excellent win, and it would be fantastic to see Real Madrid produce a similar performance and get a similar result. Atlético Madrid themselves coming into the game after a 2-0 victory against Mallorca in midweek, and we know they are always difficult to beat at home. But that 3-1 victory back in February was 0-0 the derby before that, and 3-0 the derby before that to Real Madrid, the final one played at the Estadio Vicente Calderón. So as we said, Real Madrid away to Atlético do have this strong record, looking to keep it up. Of course, it is a busy time for Real Madrid. We do have Champions League coming up as well on Tuesday night. So there are plenty of games. Real Madrid in the middle of a intense period, 7 matches in 21 days, quite literally playing every 3 days, which is why perhaps we saw 8 changes to the starting 11 against Osasuna on Wednesday evening, and we might see a similar number of changes again on Saturday at the Estadio Wanda Metropolitano. Of course, we'll see what Zinedine Zidane decides, but he is very, very clear. He's got 24 out of 5 players at his disposal. They are all going to play. They are all important. They are all going to feature at some point during the season. You see Eder Militao there in the centre. Very impressive and composed performance from him against Osasuna in midweek. I suppose slightly positive the fact that Real Madrid don't have to travel too far. We don't have to travel too far to the Wanda Metropolitano, and we don't have to travel on Tuesday evening as we host Club Brugge at the Santiago Bernabéu in the Champions League. So there we go. 2 positives for Real Madrid during this very busy period. And in fact, the next home league game is against Granada next weekend as well. So we've got a week where we don't, or over a week really, where we haven't had to leave the Spanish capital, because played against Osasuna on Wednesday evening, then this local derby, then 2 home matches in a row. So although it is an intense period in terms of matches being played in a short space of time, the fact that there isn't that much travelling at the moment is certainly positive, and it's positive when it comes to recovery from matches as well. So that is something for us to build on, and let's see what kind of performance we see on Saturday night against an Atletico Madrid side who begin the weekend just a point behind Real Madrid. It is very tight at the top of the La Liga table. Real Madrid are a point clear of Real Sociedad, who are in second. Atletico Madrid are level on points with Real Sociedad, 13, although the Basque side have a better goal difference than Atletico. But as we said, it is extremely tight. The top 6 sides separated by just 3 points, so that gives you an indication of just how competitive things have been in the opening 6 match days. Lots of sides have been dropping points where you haven't necessarily expected them to drop points, but it is worth underlining the fact that Real Madrid are one of only 2 sides that are still unbeaten in La Liga so far this season. The other are Athletic Club of Bilbao. Osasuna were unbeaten heading into that game against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu on Wednesday evening, but Real Madrid inflicted their first defeat of the season. Let's see if Real Madrid will be still unbeaten come around about 11 p.m. on Sunday evening at local time. It is a 9 p.m. kickoff in Madrid, local time, for that Madrid derby. The usual warm-up exercise here, the rondos, the piggy in the middle. Pretty much every training session here at Ciudad Real Madrid begins with this warm-up, and then a brief jog. They'll jog to the other end of the pitch, come back. You can see the cones are set up for specific exercises as well. We've got the goals. There's going to be probably a match in reduced space, but we'll see. Sergio Ramos, 6 goals he scored against Atletico Madrid, including a penalty at the Wanda Metropolitano back in February. He's the member of the squad who scored more goals the most number of goals against Atletico Madrid. As we said, 6 times he's found the back of the net. There is one, of course, that will never be forgotten, the incredibly memorable goal in Lisbon, the goal of La Décima. 7 members of the current squad have scored against Atletico Madrid, have scored in a Madrid derby. Sergio Ramos, Karim Benzema, Gareth Bale, Marcelo, Casemiro, James and Isco. Let's see if there are any new names added to that list on Saturday evening. Of course, we'll see whether or not Eden Hazard features in his first Madrid derby. And he'll know that it is a special fixture. It's not quite like the other games. There is more than just the 3 points at stake. Hazard will have featured in London derbies during his time at Chelsea, but perhaps nothing quite as intense or on the same scale as this Madrid derby, which has become arguably the cross-city derby with the highest calibre in Europe. Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid regularly featuring the latter stages of the Champions League. We've had plenty of Champions League Madrid derbies in the last few years, and there really is no other city that can lay claim to having 2 teams at such a high level in terms of European football. Madrid has staked its claim to be the European capital of football. It's hard to argue. As we see there, Gareth Bale, who scored a lovely goal at the Metropolitano back in February. He too scored on that magical night in Lisbon in 2014. That 4-1 victory which gave Real Madrid La Décima and began this extraordinary period of European dominance with 4 Champions League in 5 seasons. Lucas Vázquez started against Osasuna on Wednesday night. Was pretty influential down the right-hand side. Question marks over who touched that last. Hazard and Modric. Good spirits in the Real Madrid camp. It is a beautiful day in the Spanish capital. It's going to be perfect conditions for football come 9 o'clock on Saturday evening. The weather forecast is for pretty high temperatures, but by 9 o'clock the temperatures will have dipped sufficiently for to be no need for cooling breaks or anything like that. It should be, as we said, absolutely perfect for the footballers. Casemiro in the centre of your screen, who's had a magnificent start to the campaign, being one of Real Madrid's most influential and important players. Thibaut Courtois, it'll be a special fixture for him, of course, against his former club. But very much a Madridista now, Thibaut, and he'll relish a chance to pick up 3 points in the Madrid derby. Real Madrid's top goal scorer this season, Karim Benzema, 5 goals in 5 appearances. Didn't feature on Wednesday night against Osasuna. Was given the night off, completely rested, and he will be raring to go against Atleti. As we said, 5 goals in those 5 games, 13 goals in his last 13 league appearances, 20 goals in La Liga in 2019. No player has scored more goals this calendar year in La Liga than Karim Benzema. You could arguably say he is the in-form striker in La Liga at the moment, and he too will relish the big stage. It was a big game against Sevilla last weekend at the Estadio Ramon Sánchez Pizjuán, and Karim Benzema popped up with another magnificent header to give Real Madrid all 3 points. He has been key to Real Madrid at the start of this La Liga season, and he will continue to be so as well, improving his scoring record in the Primera División. Karim Benzema, he is, of course, and remains the 4th top scorer in the history of the Champions League. He'll be hoping to improve that record on Tuesday night against Club Brugge, but before that there is the small matter of Saturday night's trip to the Metropolitano, which I'm sure Eden Hazard is looking forward to. These are the kind of games that players particularly relish, and big game players as well, like Eden Hazard. We saw him shine in the World Cup last year. We saw him excel in the Europa League final for Chelsea earlier on this year, and he is a man for the big occasions. And as we said, there aren't many bigger occasions in European football than a Madrid derby. It's going to be a packed house at the Wanda Metropolitano, 60,000 fans, creating a hostile atmosphere. We're really looking forward to it. Enjoy the game. We'll leave you here from Ciudad Real Madrid as training continues.